I'm going to bring up my slides here. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to this Raise Your Rainbow Vibration series that I've decided to put together to enter into this new year with a whole other way of seeing our reality. So what I'd like to do is to tour you through a little bit before we move into our guest and before we move into an activity. One of the things that I was reflecting on as part of this webinar series is techniques. It's all great to know the information, and it's even better to put it into motion. So therefore, I've asked all of our guests to come prepared with activities that we can do, short activities, nothing too long, and to tour us through. So first and foremost, I wanted to offer this and open it to all of you. I'm going to put this on large screen for a second. So I want to ask you, when somebody says to raise your vibration, to raise your vibe, what does that mean to you exactly? I'm kind of curious. If you would write in the chat feature some ideas of what that actually means to raise your vibe. Hello, Ella. She's saying hello, everyone from the UK. So what does it mean to increase your vibration? What might that look like? Because it sounds kind of nebulous. So Rebecca says nature plus nurture, the two N's, N squared. Wonderful. Anybody else want to chime in? What does it mean? What do you look like when you are a person that has this sense of really being connected in? So Diane, you say to tap into your spiritual self. Okay, well, wonderful, especially for our guest today, who has been in ministry for over 40 years. Ella's saying back to basics and grounding, back to the nature plus nurture. Jen says, feeling calm in my heart and grounded. I love that idea of a rooted heart, a grounded heart. Rebecca, music, creating and listening. Yes, the vibration of sound. And Jerome, to levitate above the normal. That's why you're I cannot wait to have you unpack your tools and techniques here. All right. So what I would suggest, these are just some of my ideas. When I think of people that are at that high level of vibration where they are in that seat of possibility and potential, I think a lot about choice. I think a lot about choosing. I reflect on how we feel, the power of gratitude and all of the great science on gratitude, and allowing for emotions, emotions being energy in motion. And thoughts and emotions are powerful vectors to our actions and behaviors. And many times people don't want to look at emotions or thoughts and get under the hood and start doing a lot of these activities to get into that sphere. However, it's really essential because those emotions and those thoughts prime our actions. So tomorrow we're going to have Dr. Peter Wilhelmsen do tapping with us. And tapping is great for emotions and moving those through the body. And moving out of patterns, there's this thing of patterns, in the science. I'm just going to showcase just very quickly. I just want to show you that there's science behind a lot of this stuff. So when I say raise your rainbow vibration, that might sound kind of fluffy. However, if we look at the deeper science that's emerging these days on psychoneuroimmunology and even psychoneuroendocrinology, looking at hormones, we see that what we experience through the day, what we choose, can change gene expression. It can change our epigenetics. Studies on relaxation response and looking at the actual gene expression for so many different pathways down to the cellular level, like energy metabolism, insulin secretion, inflammation. There are such great studies, and we're standing on the shoulders of giants in this particular area of research, looking at relaxation response and how that can change our genomic expression. Yogic meditation, reducing some of the inflammatory signals. Mind body, connecting, the body has so much intelligence. How do we bring that on up to the mind and start to change those thoughts? So again, there's so much here. I like this one too. This is kind of I like this title. This says, meditation and vacation effects have an impact on disease-associated molecular phenotypes. So not even just meditation, but also vacation. You know, when was the last time we actually had a vacation, had a pause? So there is a Facebook page in which I'm showcasing some of the different techniques and such. And the one for today is consistent with reflecting on all the many bodies we have, our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body. And some of the newer thought with Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and even back to the seeds that were planted by Dr. Candace Pert in the 1980s. How do we start to envision our greatest self? And some of that talk has been within this verbiage of talking about the quantum field, talking about the possibilities, all the many possibilities. So if you can reflect on the many different things that we wear, you know, it's been said, so Diane was saying, you know, alluding to the spiritual aspects, it's been said that our body is like clothing for our spirit or our soul. And you can think of our being as having many different bodies. We can have not just our physical body, but many different layers. And there may be a point that you feel like I need to shed a layer, kind of like a snake sheds its skin. How can I shed that layer and start to form a new pattern, a new imprint? And first comes that visualization, then the feeling starts to put the flesh on that particular body. So I just love it. I think it's so exciting to be where we are in the space of mind-body medicine and what we know, marrying the science to things that seem less physical, like thoughts, like emotions. So today our guest, our esteemed guest, and he was one of the first people that came to mind because I was lecturing in, I think it was 2019 in Northern California, and I do a series of nutrition lectures. And one of the ones that I was doing, it was up in, you know, it was just on nutrition. And there was this man in the room who was wearing a suit and a hat, and he had a purple shirt, and, you know, he was just exuding vibration. He was magnificent in every way. And we were making eye contact. Then we started talking at the break. And ever since then, we've been in touch. And Reverend Thomas, which we can, you know, Reverend, I want to call you doctor, actually.
That's fine.
Dr. Reverend, we'll give you all of the many different titles. He's been in ministry for 40 years. And when I had him over for dinner, just this past September, got to know his story, which is profound. Very, very profound. And he worked with women in prisons. He's worked in hospitals. He's worked with the military. And, you know, quite a beautiful path he has led. And most recently, he put out his book, Seasons of the Heart, which is very poignant. It's filled with emotionally laden poetry and prose and even imagery. And I would encourage you all to check it out. Seasons of the Heart, such a beautiful title, even it goes there. So Jerome, thank you so much for taking the time on your Saturday, your wedding anniversary day, to be with all of us.
Happy Kwanzaa, happy Kuumba, which is the day 6, which means creativity. So what a wonderful day, and you know, auspicious day, all over the land. And so it's just a joy to be here in the midst of such high vibration. And so I'm honored, I'm humble to be in my home and to share what Spirit has laid on my heart. So
wonderful. Well, perhaps we start with a bit about you and what being in that sense of rainbow vibration means to you specifically. And I would say just for like a minute or two, just because you have a very, I mean, we spend hours on your story and it's profound. What I would say is perhaps you can give us a thumbnail, a snapshot into who you are a little bit more specifically. What stands out from your rainbow journey that you feel makes you who you are today?
I think what stands out is the resilience of my heart. If you had to do a story narrative of my life, I would say it would be part Cinderella, part Forrest Gump. That's just how I look at it. I started out, my life was very quiet. I had a speech impediment for 14 years. I could not speak. I could not even say Jesus. I couldn't talk. So I read a lot. And that's how was my way of entering into the world. I always wanted to experience things, but I just read. I read it. I had a World Book Encyclopedia and a botanical, and so that was my life. And then I always wanted to go to Africa, and so I knew I had a big heart, but did not know in what direction it needed to go. I was just filled with energy. I had energy. I didn't know where my energy needed to go. And so I just had to, put hope in the Almighty that the Spirit would lead me. And so there's some things I knew I had to do. And so I was drawn to the land, being involved with earth. Mm. And so that's what led me to an agricultural background. And my parents talked about picking cotton. They said, you don't know what work is until you've been in the cotton field. I said, okay. So that's what led me into an agricultural background. And of course, that opens up your whole spirit when you have to, when you're choosing your food. And then when you're seeing others who have to labor to choose the food that you eat. And so this whole concept of what is going into my being, what is going into my biome, right? What is going to be created. And so that's born in Louisiana, moved to California. And then after going to Africa, that set my spirit off to be a traveling individual, to be open and receptive to moving constantly in motion.
And can you say a little bit about one of the things that stuck out for me when you told me your whole story? We started, like I asked you a lot of questions.
Yes.
I think for many of us here, what might be interesting as well is how you worked with women in the prisons.
Yeah. Well, that was a fulfillment of a prophecy. In college, I took a test called the Minnesota Multiphasic as a freshman. It said that the result was female staff sergeant. I said, what is that? And I didn't understand what that meant. I took the same test 4 years later. It said the same thing. I said, I don't understand this, female staff sergeant. So, after coming back from Africa, went into ministry, and then just felt drawn to prison ministry. And so in 87, interviewed for a job, and I became the Protestant chaplain for 800 women. And so in my mind, I believed it meant that my heart is sensitive enough to listen to the concerns of women, but give them direction. And so we did. And in the midst of being there, I got a message from Spirit that told me to close the prison. So I stayed at the prison for 16 years, and we closed the prison. Mm. So it was just, I was used as a chaplain there, and then I used in another capacity to work with programs. So we created all these programs, Dress for Success, jobs, making sure everyone got an ID. And so everyone, and then we created halfway houses in every county of the state of California.
Amazing.
So that everyone who left did not have to go back to their dysfunctional back home. They could go someplace else. So it was an incredible experience. It was exactly where I needed to be. So that I have 3 daughters, and so I'm used, Mom, I'm used to working with women, being in the church. So that's just, that's how my life has been. And so it's that experience has really helped me, really nurtured my spirit, let me know as I continue to pray and be led that, you know, God would put me in places where all of my gifts can be utilized. So.
Yes, and now you're engaged with writing, and the
Yes.
activity that you were suggesting that we do today is a writing activity.
Yes.
So if it might be helpful that everybody, if you have a piece of paper and pen, just to have that handy for when we get to it. Now, you being an author, you're working on your other books as well. And
Yes.
as you and I were going back and forth about the topic for today, one of the ones that came out was self-worth.
Yes.
So would you like to perhaps talk a little bit about self-worth before we get into the activity, or how would you like to take us into that journey?
Well, let me briefly describe this vibration. You mentioned that you wanted me to talk about vibration. So I had a season of vibrational shift when I went to Africa. That was a physical moment. I had been wanting to go there for 21 years. When I got off the plane in Monrovia, Liberia, I kissed the ground because I felt a sense of belonging, a sense of community. And I believe that's important for us. If you're going to be fit, you need to be in a community where you feel this sense of belonging. And then as I was in Kenya for 2.5 years teaching agriculture. So I had a physical moment, and then I had a mental moment in January of 76 I taught school. It was my second school. I taught school at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest mountain in Africa. And I believe a place of spiritual vortex. And so I was there for a year and a half. And so there I began to read about, there's an author named Jittu Krishnamurti. He wrote several books, but basically he raised my mental consciousness because he talked about a global outlook from a sectarian view to a holistic view. And then secondly, he also talked about a concern for man and environment. He said, basically saying that humanity is part of nature, and if nature is not cared for, it will boomerang back onto man. And so we've seen that particularly in this whole climate change. And so that got in my spirit. And then thirdly, he began to talk about the importance of including the science, having a scientific temper, that as we grow in our spirit, we need to listen to what science is saying. And so with that was my mental moment, and then that influenced my spiritual moment. In March of 76, soon after reading that, I began spiritual practices. I began to meditate. I began to understand the importance of breath and deep breathing, yogic practices, and chakras. I realized that there might be more than my Judeo-Christian perspective. I began to read and experience other sacred texts like the Bhagavad Gita and the Quran, and realizing that really Judeo-Christianity was relatively young compared to these other religions that had been out there. And so after that, I had an emotional moment right after that, when I changed my diet. After reading Francis Lapide, Diet for a Small Planet, I became a vegetarian. I had to change my gut health. It was the only way I was going to survive in Kenya. And as I changed my gut health, it changed my brain health. As it changed my brain health, it spiraled into my heart intelligence and therefore into the whole vagus nerve connection. That season became the foundation of other seasons of awakening. So I just wanted to lay that out because I think we all have seasons of awakening, and because the rainbow is a continuum, and so there's various points along that continuum that we have to understand. So with that, can lead us now into this higher vibration of self-worth. Okay, so our goal today, first we'll lead you into a meditation and then a time of writing. Our goal today is to find a higher vibration of unconditional self-worth, which I define as is the sense that you deserve to be alive, to be loved and cared for, and to take up space on this earth. Right? Mm-hmm. Not about comparing ourselves and our abilities with others, not about self-esteem, but unconditional self-worth.
Jerome, can we pause there? Because I'm
yes.
curious if anybody just wants to ask about that specifically, or even on the chat wants to. Oh, it looks like the chat might be off. Just any questions? I just want to just have a pause here for anybody. This is incredible, and I feel like you're going to take us into this this incubator of sacredness as we go here. Okay, so no questions, no comments, and I don't see anything in the chat.
Yeah. I kind of have a question. You just said unconditional self-worth, but
yes.
It's not self-esteem. So sometimes it kind of intertwines together.
Yes, self-esteem gets caught up into comparing ourselves to other individuals, right? The self-worth is that you desire to be, to be loved, you and to be cared for, and to be cared for, not comparing ourselves to anyone else, but just unconditionally, like unconditional love. All right, unconditional love is like that agape love, that you are loved, and you don't have to scratch my back, I don't have to scratch your back, you are loved. So that sense of self-love, love that neighbor, but this loving, you are loved. You came into the world. You came into the world, you were thought of from the throne room, and you came into the world, and you're here and you're loved. And that's just how it is. And so we're here to send all our vibrations toward you, to lift you up, to encourage you, to empower you, to enlighten you. Anyway, I mean, to renew you, to restore you, all of those words that keep us in a space of feeling good, of feeling loved about who we are and why we're here in the universe. In a continuum, right? Because this is just our space here in these bodies, but but we're eternal creatures, right? I know I've been here before. Though I might be a certain amount of years, I feel like I've been here for at least 1,500 years. That's how my soul feels. And it's great to know that I don't get caught up into age. I'm an eternal creature, and I just keep going. And so I happen to be here right now to share. What a privilege, what an honor. And so as we go on, yes.
Yes, that was a great question, Parveen. Thank you for that distinction of self-esteem, self-worth. Okay, wonderful.
As we go on, Solomon talks about in Proverbs, particularly Proverbs 4:23, just pulling from that sacred text, that above all else, he talks about guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So when he talks about guarding your heart, it means the inner core of an individual, the thoughts, the feelings, the desires, the will, and choices that make a person who they are. So it's important that we guard that. So when I rise in the morning, I do a self-assessment and ask, am I spiritually fit to function for today? I ask myself, am I operating in the green? Am I operating in the green? And since green is the color of the heart chakra, am I spiritually fit? Not stressed, not drained, not depleted, but am I fit? And if we are to go to the next level of vibration, whatever that may be, and whatever color that may look like, some may say purple or whatever, we have to ask ourselves, are we fit? Are we spiritually fit? Are we operating in the green? So today I'm going to lead you into a meditation on that. And then from that, I'd like you to write down your thoughts. And then from that, we will share. Is
Sounds
that all right?
great.
Okay. All right. So let me lead you into this guided meditation. So now sit comfortably. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, allowing your belly to be soft. Breathing slowly and deeply, feeling yourself present here and now. In your chair, relaxing with each breath, breathing in and breathing out. I would like to lead you into a meditation of living in the green. What is green? It is being engaged in life's purpose and your meaning for life. Having clarity about who you are and how you need to be present. It is being hopeful, looking forward to the future, being fully engaged as your authentic self. It means to practice the feeling of being connected and knowing that you belong, having that sense of purpose and feeling of worthiness or self-worth. Just for a moment, make that connection of living in the green internally. It may feel like an awakening that comes from witnessing the birth of a child. There are no words for the miracle that has just transpired. Only witnessing life magnified, going forward, moving forward. Living in the green internally is that moment when you first lay eyes on the person you love, the love of your life. That moment when you feel that you are worthy, when you know who you are, living and performing in the world, doing what you are gifted to do. What does that feel like? And living in the green is also an external experience. Doing things that make you feel like you are making a contribution, not only to your own life, but for the lives of others. Communicating heart to heart, letting that flow be open, blessing the world around you. Living in the green externally is going on vacation and placing your feet on new ground. What does that feel like? Feel the exhilaration. And we must make each day a day of practice of living in the green. And living in the green means making sound moral decisions, as simple as following the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. It means being fully engaged with family, friends, and community as much as possible. In the green means being able to forgive self and others. It involves being respectful of others, treating everyone and everything with care. Finally, living in the green is being engaged in core values or beliefs like honor, courage, and commitment. Now that your thoughts and feelings have aligned with living in the green, set your intentions to maintain living in the green as you come back into the present moment. Now take out your paper or journal and write your feelings down creatively without editing. Just free write what comes to your heart. All right, if you're ready to share, our hearts are open, our spirits are receptive. Don't be shy.
Well, I feel like the angels, one of whom is Dr. Minich, and others of my angels, sent me to this workshop today. I am so grateful to have encountered you and to have met you and to have heard that beautiful guided meditation, particularly today. It's a wonderful way to close the year and start the new one. And for me, this is the 14th anniversary of when, because of partially because of severe social defeat, and I dropped into basically feeling like I wasn't worthy of walking on this earth anymore, and slipped into a dementia-like illness that lasted, completely incapacitated me, and lasted for 7 years. Fortunately, it's also the 7th anniversary of my recovery from that illness. And it was just this week that I decided, and I've had many, many wonderful teachers who have helped me along the way, and I am grateful to all of them, including Dr. Minich, who I've known for a good part of that 7-year journey. And this year I decided that I wasn't going to go back and be a chiropractor or a functional medicine doctor again, that I want to start a movement of, I'm calling it a Brighter Mind for Life Women's Circles, to help women overcome that social defeat. And not just that, it's also all the diet and the exercise, all the science. But if we don't have the piece of loving yourself and feeling like you have a way of lifting off the weight of everything you've been told about yourself. And I think I'm so grateful for your work with African-American women, because in addition to what we all suffer from as women and just as human beings on this planet right now, the weight that they carry is what makes them at the highest risk for dementia. And I was honored to work with many incredible women in Chicago when I was practicing, and I want to bring this back to them. And I'm so happy to have a voice that will reflect so well and true with them, because of your words and your history in the church and your work with other women, that they can see a light moving forward, because I fully believe that what you taught us today can lift up so much of that weight and give people a way of going forward. So I am so grateful to meet you and to learn of your work, and I feel totally uplifted and excited about moving forward. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Aline. Anybody else want to share? There were quite a number of you writing. Seems like you're writers. That's your thing to do. Diane, did you put your hand up? Oh, I think, yep, you have to unmute yourself. And then we'll go to Megan.
Okay.
All right.
I also want to express my appreciation for all that you've said. It is very uplifting. And I have been on a journey since I retired to try to find my new purpose. And it's I have had a little bit of an imposter syndrome and have been kind of holding myself back. But not too long ago, I did finally, with the help of Deanna's mentoring and all that she's given us about eating the rainbow and everything, I did have a little children's Cook the Rainbow class, and I felt very, very inspired and uplifted. And I kind of went back into my old, but I'm not really qualified. I'm not a nutritionist, all this. But after hearing you, I feel like I'm ready to move forward. So I think this was perfect timing, and I greatly appreciate all you said and all you made me write down, and what came up, what inner thoughts came up. So thank you very much.
I'm rooting for you, Diane.
Thank you.
Oh,
all
right.
the parents at my class know all about you now.
Oh, Thank you for bringing the light of that work to children where it's so much needed. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
How about Megan?
Hi there. I'm actually in New Zealand, so I'm already in 2023. So I just wanted to let you know that it's all good so far. But I just as that meditation was finishing and I was opening my eyes, there's a bird going nuts outside my window, and I open my eyes and there's a tree, and the green of that tree was very intense, and I sort of thought, well, there's a little bit of an energy vibration going on there, but thank you for that. And when I reflected on the feelings that went on during that meditation, I had a very clear sense of these words that came out for me were purpose, serenity, wisdom, calmness, clarity, vision, and then purpose again. And it's a really lovely feeling to go into connecting with those feelings in yourself. So thank you for that. And it's just an incredibly powerful moment, especially to start a new year and grounding in those moments. So thank you.
That's lovely. I like how the bird got your attention on the green. Thanks, Megan. Parveen.
Thank you. That was just wonderful. And I believe that none of us are here by accident. Like we all were supposed to be here. And for myself, I really felt that I was supposed to be here. Some of your words really, really hit home. Some of the words, like I say to myself, like removing layers of, I feel that there's layers of myself coming off every time I do something new, every time I do something that's a little bit uncomfortable, every time that I step into something that used to be fearful, and now I do it and I embrace these things. Something that I really liked what you said was operating in the green. I do get up in the morning and I check how I feel inside my body, but I've never really set like a target. Am I in the green, or where am I starting from? So I think that for me was something that I can use now as this is my baseline. Like, am I in the green, or get myself to where I want to be before sabotaging thoughts and other thoughts pull me back down. So being where I want to be before I start to layer other stuff on top of it. And other few words that you said that I really say to myself is to guard my heart. Everything comes from it. Growing up, I grew up in a family where girls were sometimes not given the same power as the boys were. They weren't heard, they weren't given the same opportunities. And that went into my adulthood as well. So I did struggle with self-esteem and self-worth, even though I didn't know at that time that that's what it was. And it wasn't until my 30s that I realized that I was giving control to other people instead of having the control in myself. And that itself was realizing that I had to have that control inside myself, and that no one else, even the people around me that loved me, couldn't make me happy if I chose not to be happy. So that for myself has been a turning point, and what really kind of propelled me to go deeper into my journey and find out why I was feeling the way I was. So it's probably been about 15 years now that I've been working on myself. And I feel that we have all these gifts. Probably all these women have gifts of something that we've gone through ourselves. And we have to share it with the world. We have to be able to help other women. We have to be able to help other men, children, whoever it is that comes into our life, and not feel that imposter syndrome and holding ourselves back. So for myself, it's that get out there, Don't be afraid. No one's going to judge me. Anyone that does judge me isn't ready for my message yet. And just be myself, because since I've started to be myself and not care about anyone else judging me or feeling that I have to try extra hard to fit in with people, I actually draw more people to me, and the judgments are meaningless. So thank you so much for everything. It's a great way, as someone said, to end this year and go into a new year. So I'm so grateful to be here today. So thank you so much to Dr. Deanna and to you, Reverend Jerome.
Thank you, Parveen. Anybody else want to chime in? I'll make a couple of comments for myself. Jerome, when you were mentioning to write down how we felt, right? And to come into those feelings, I had a sense of a lot of fullness, like where the heart gets really full with things. And those can be things of the past, they could be things of the present, they could be things of the future. It can be uncomfortable feelings. It can be, certain things. If your heart feels too full, sometimes that can feel like anxiety, or it can feel like, and so I think for me anyway, the feelings for me that come out would be where I use movement to move those emotions through my circulatory system, right? My oxygenation, my, getting physical movement, being in nature. That's where I was coming with a lot of my words, which were more about this sense of fullness, which can be a good thing, and it can be like an overabundance of energy in the heart space. And so for me, remembering to move that through in all the ways that I know to do that. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share? Francis, wonderful.
Oh boy. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just started writing, and the first thing that came to me was I matter. And I cry, and that's why I'm afraid to say stuff, but I feel it so deeply. And thank you so much, everybody. But I wrote here, I matter. I am in the green. Haven't ever, I can't even see, haven't ever had this presented to me in this way. So thank you very much. But just what you said about guarding your heart, and then the imposter syndrome, I've suffered with that forever. And I'm out there working and doing this work. I do a prison ministry thing. I work with kids. And this is all a big confirmation of, you're in the right place, Francis, just keep going. Yes. Enjoy the challenges. And the last thing I think I wrote in here was, let's see here. Oh my gosh. Help me to stay in the green zone and express all the joy and love that's around me every day. Help me to be an example to others for this amazing love that's available to all of us. And then I put in here, please help me to accept and embrace the challenges when I'm really scared to say yes. And I work with some really intense young individuals that I feel like I'm not qualified to work with. And I do nutrition, I do grief work. It's just amazing. And what you're just saying is what so many people need to hear. So thank you, because there was a part of me that was like, don't even go on camera. You haven't put your makeup on. You're really being vulnerable. And I was like, hit the button and just say yes. You could hear God saying, honey, you got to speak up, because it's just going to free you from so much that you're holding in. And when you just said that, Deanna, about the heart being so full, I'm like, oh yeah, music sends me off. And I'm like, your tears scare the daylights out of you, Francis. But they really don't. Tears release the muscles that grief holds so tightly. And it's happy and it's sad and it's all these things. And sometimes it's afraid to even be able to convey it to somebody. And I think about these little kids that I work with, and I think you've all been diagnosed with all these crazy diagnoses. I don't see any of them. I just see these beautiful beings that are struggling. And there's so much I can take from this and share with them next week when I go. And I just can't thank you enough. All of you. So thank you for holding space for me and listening. Amen.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
We have Deborah. Deborah, you had your hand up. Would you still like to share?
Yep. Hang on. Let me just see if I can get can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Everybody hear her, Deborah?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
So I'm actually sitting in bed with a broken arm this morning,
Mm.
a couple of weeks before Christmas. So for me, I'd just like to say thanks again, Deanna, for doing these amazing webinars, and really found that meditation, quite profound. I just wrote a whole lot of words down that I did with my eyes closed, and it was quite cool because it's all very heart-centered and healing oriented, and I'm very focused on healing right now because I am very limited with what I can actually do with this broken bone. But the thing that the words that came out, I found were all very, very much around what I'm trying to do. And I'm also in New Zealand, so we're already in 2023. So it was such a perfect time to start and do something like this. That and I love it from the other attendees as well around the world, which I think is really helpful. So I'm a naturopath and run a clinic, and I'm really looking at changing the way I practice this year to become more available to a wider community. And the words that came after that meditation were peace, calm, healing, tranquility, focus, clarity, love, creative, let go, vision, color, breath, energy, commitment, passion, wealth, centered. And then I've also got upright, comfort, and comfortable, and that is very much related to how I feel right now. So just a big thank you to Dr. Jerome, Reverend Jerome. I'm not sure, I can't remember what the introduction was, and also to Deanna, who does the most amazing work. So yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you, Deborah. Wow. What beautiful sharing. This has really been profound. Thank you, Reverend Thomas. And I'm wondering, to close this circle, if you wouldn't mind, perhaps saying a prayer and an intention for all of us for our healing, our hearts, and our path forward into a higher vibe for 2023.
Right before that, I want to focus on the day. This is the word kuamba means creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful than we inherited it. And I'll close maybe in the words of Maya Angelou, who we invited to the prison, and she came and spoke to the women at the prison and invited a few of us to go to her home. So I was blessed, and I believe that was 1989. Her mother lived in Stockton, so she was in the area a lot. And these words from Maya hopefully will encourage us. She said, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor and style, and try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud." I don't know if I could get any better than that. So this is what we hopefully desire to do every day, is to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. So that's our affirmation today. That's our declaration today, that we go forth and stay in the green as a beginning. And then what vibration will take us that vibration will take us to the next level in the paradigm shift that we're all desiring and wanting. So I am just humbled to just be here, to be among such wisdom and such knowledge and such love and such joy and such peace. The power of our collective spirit is so powerful. And so I'm so glad to just be a part of this community. And if we can just grab hold of what we have individually and collectively, we can surely take this vibration to the next level. So
Woohoo.
My heart is with you all.
Again,
yes.
This is Reverend Jerome's book, Seasons of the Heart. And as you can tell, he's extremely heart-centered. Thank you so much for being with us, all of you. Thank you for helping us to live in the green, Reverend Thomas. And hope to see you all at perhaps even tomorrow's webinar with Dr. Peter Wilhelmsen doing tapping. So we'll do that tomorrow. Okay.
And we'll send the meditation out.
Yes.
To Deanna. Therefore you can use it during the week. Perfect. And whenever. And we'll just keep it going.
Sounds
keep vibrating.
Great.
Keep vibrating.
That vibe high, everybody.
Keep it high. Keep it high.
Happy 2023. Thank you so much for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.